Alright, let's set up your new beam tracker. I'll go over the installation, camera configuration, tracking setup, and fine-tuning of the different axes. And it's going to be easy, since this new version of Beam got an all-new interface. First, download the tracker and install it. If you want to support the developers directly, get it from their website. They don't have to pay a share to Steam then. Otherwise, both versions are 99% identical. The only difference is that the Steam version also allows you to upload community profiles instead of just downloading and using them. The first screen you see after launching the tracker is the camera selection. Choose your preferred camera from the drop-down menu. I'm using my Obsbot Meet SE. You can get it for around 80 or 90 bucks. It supports 100 FPS at 1080p resolution, which is perfect for head tracking. Set camera access to exclusive if you don't need to share the camera image with another app like OBS. Otherwise, select shared. Make sure your face is well lit. Eye tracking in particular profits a lot from enough light. Also, turn off functions like auto framing, which confuse the hell out of Beam and prevent it from working properly. Also, don't zoom in too close to your face. I tried to improve tracking with a beefy 33mm lens on my Sony camera. That didn't work because it seems Beam expects at least a little bit of space around your head. With my 16mm APS-C lens though, everything worked fine. So if you have a camera that can supply 120 FPS with a good lens at 1080p or more, you'll have an even better experience than with the Obsbot. Now click Next. Beam detects all of your screens automatically. All you need to do is tell it where your camera is placed and whether it's on top of or below your main screen. Then we need to select whether the camera is in a tilted position or not. Now we already have some basic eye and head tracking going. Now continue with basic calibration. Look at the dots without moving your head, using only your eyes. Click on each one to calibrate the respective position. That's it, we're done. The purple bubble indicates where you're looking. Hold Alt-C to bring up the recentering overlay. Just fixate on the white and gray circle, then release the keys to center the tracker. This works system-wide in any game. Now here's Beam's main menu. You can restart the guided setup here or do a quick recalibration of the tracker. Head tracking smoothing and eye tracking smoothing mean stabilization. The more smoothing you apply, the more small micro movements of your head and eyes are filtered out, which makes the viewport more stable. But more stability means more latency. So if the tracking starts to feel like moving through jelly, you've probably applied too much smoothing. Further down, you can change your camera and configure placement without having to run through the whole setup process again. Immersive camera on the side menu here is where your tracking options are. In the default view, only amplification and speed sliders are shown for both eye and head tracking. Amplification means how much of your eye and head movement is translated into camera movement. You want some amplification so you can look left or right without having to take your eyes off your screen, of course. Speed means how fast the tracker reacts. Slower speed means smoother transitions. Faster speed means less delay but less smoothness. For the beginning, you can leave everything as it is, since the default settings are quite good in my opinion. If you want, you can jump right into any game. A lot of them don't need advanced configuration. IL-2 and FS 2024, for example, will make use of your head tracker the moment it's active and shouldn't require any configuration effort at all. But if you want to fine-tune your settings, switch to Advanced Controls. Now you get to configure each axis separately beyond amplification and speed. You can also set, via the stability slider, how much filtering is applied to small movements of your eyes and head. More stability also means more latency though. You need to experiment and find your sweet spot here. You can also type in values instead of using the sliders, of course. Let's specifically check out eye tracking first. Max camera rotation means the maximum value the camera rotates based on eye tracking. The two dead zone options adjust how much eye movement is ignored at the center or the edges of the screen. If you tend to make a lot of micro movements with your eyes, turn it up. Response softness controls camera latency, like how much the eye movement feels like a rubber band. The shift towards screen edge control in Beam adjusts how reactive the eye tracking is when you look toward the edges of your display. Increasing the setting makes the camera movement more pronounced even when you're looking at the very edges of the screen, rather than becoming less reactive. This can help if you want the camera to respond more strongly to subtle eye movements at the screen's periphery. All of these settings can be applied independently to the X and Y axis. Head tracking also has the same settings for each axis. Yaw means left and right, pitch means up and down, and roll means tilt left and tilt right. Max camera rotation defines the maximum rotation angle on each axis, while max head rotation means the threshold at which max camera rotation is applied. So in my case, if I move my head past 30 degrees off center in real life, the camera instantly tilts to the 160 degrees position so that I can check my 6 easily without breaking my neck. You can also configure a dead zone where all movement of your head is ignored. The response softness slider this time controls the sharpness of the transition between your defined max head rotation range, in this case 30 degrees, and the flip to your max camera rotation angle, in this case 160 degrees. These settings can be configured independently on all 3 axes. The 3 position axes work a bit differently. We still have 3 axes, but we're not working with degrees now. We're working in centimeters. You can set a movement range and max position. I keep them all at the same value because I don't want my viewport to zoom flip around. Softness works the same as with the other axes and controls the sharpness of the transition between normal range and max value. Alright, so much for the general configuration options. Now let's go over some of the advanced features or quality of life features. The eye tracking overlay makes eye tracking visible, which is useful for making tutorials or reviewing competitive gaming sessions, for example. The hide overlay toggle hides it on your screen, but it'll show up in recordings. Under productivity and privacy, you can find a bunch of nice features for everyday use. Multi-screen pointer makes your cursor jump to the screen you're currently looking at, which is quite nice once you get used to it. Mouse jump, on the other hand, makes your pointer jump to the position you're currently looking at if you press the assigned hotkey, which is nice for large screens. Presence detection auto-locks your screen after a certain amount of time if you're away from your PC. And lastly, there's the privacy filter. It blurs the parts of your desktop you're not actively looking at. I couldn't find an application for it yet, but maybe you can. Before you start playing, you should also take a look at the hotkeys section. Bind the pause resume key to something convenient. This allows you to pause tracking while keeping the viewport at the momentary position, which is nice for longer flights or while cruising and doing other very important pilot stuff. If you close the main window, Beam stays active in your system tray. There you can do a quick calibration, toggle tracking on and off, and open the main window. Use the link in the description below to get Beam and support the channel at the same time. Thanks for stopping by, fly safe, and I'll see you in the next one.